comb is history you can hold in your hand. The passion is learning the story. Who made it? What was happening in their world? How many hands did it pass through to get to yours? Here are some of the pieces in my collection. I love them because I can travel around the world and through time. I love the elaborately carved phoenix on this comb. Mythical creatures from Egypt were all the rage when news of archaeological digs reached Victorian England in the 1840s and 50s. This English mother-of-pearl comb was made around 1900. On the outside, 5 curved petals, carved with wave-like forms, surround a circular swirl going in the opposite direction. The design of this comb is softer than the combs made in the British arts and crafts movement. I'd like to think the maker was influenced by the curved lines and asymmetrical shapes of French Art Nouveau motifs. After 1880, during the aesthetic period, the English craved whimsical themes such as griffins and dragons. This hairpin's gold cap sports griffin heads with ruby eyes among its scrolls. This regally shaped engraved sterling silver hair comb was made by Dominic and Half, an American silver company founded in 1868. Notice the engraved medallions on each edge near the silver balls. A peigne Josephine is a back comb with balls on top. It holds up a chignon. Mine is ivory, French, and dates to the 1840s. Mother of pearl is the iridescent coating inside the oyster. It was one of the favorite materials of Victorian jewelry makers. My hairpin shows a swallow resting in a garden of flowers. I have loved this bird for a long time. The maker carved such expression and detail into his face and wings. He is Italian, made at Casa Sapio. The workshop was founded in Naples in 1869. The Creative Museum has 4 other examples, all with a blonde tortoiseshell ornament sitting resplendently atop a dark tortoiseshell hairpin. I believe this ivory comb was made around 1880 in England. Before Art Nouveau embraced the peacock for its natural beauty, it was a symbol of resurrection, a modern phoenix, renewing and remaining immortal. Theodor Fahner made these hat pins around 1900. He encased natural pearls with gold, which was molded into a swirly vine shape. They are marked TF 585. Fahner was one of the leaders of Jugendstil jewelry design. His pieces were produced in Vienna from 1900 until 1919. Fahner was also one of the leading jewelry makers in the Wiener Werkstätte. Small silver diadems, embellished with turquoise beads and pearls, were hinged to silver or tortoiseshell hairpins. They were intricate and very popular in 19th century France. I love wearing this one. This silver comb has French hallmarks and was made in the mid-19th century during the time Eugénie de Montijo was married to Napoleon III. It is decorated with foliated scrolls which mirror the wood and stone carvings of the time. In 19th century Birmingham, England, many silver and gold caps were put on tortoiseshell hairpins. What makes this one unusual is that the silver top has turquoise stones and the hairpin is ivory. Victorian Algerian combs have extravagant tiaras, dangling with pendants which are hinged to horn combs. Interest in these Moorish and Turkish designs flourished when the French conquered Algeria in 1847. I would date this comb to around 1850. Seed pearls top a design of pear-shaped pearls, with 7 dangling rows of pearls underneath. The dangling pendants are supposed to add drama to the chignon. This silver comb has Dutch hallmarks, dating it to the 1850s, and it was made for export. It celebrates their sailors and the great tradition of trading ships made legendary by the Dutch East India Company. What I love about the Dutch portrayal of their trading ships were that their combs were vertical, whereas the Japanese seamen painted a horizontal picture. So you have the same ship seen through the eyes of two different cultures. My third comb in this style is a custom-made piece with aluminum acanthus sleeves and a dangling pendant of faux turquoise beads. This design seems to be influenced by the archaeological digs of Heinrich Schliemann. Atop this refined blonde tortoiseshell hairpin sits an open-worked gilt ball. Small crown-shaped gold and silver tops were the usual fare, but I love this one because the decoration is so unusual. This hairpin is a good example of piqué-posé. Decorations are inscribed on soft heated tortoiseshell and then inlaid by hand with gold or silver. The technique reached its apogee in 1860s Victorian England. This piece makes an unforgettable frame. 7 rings, engraved with a geometric pattern, are sewn together with delicate wire, which is beaded with seed pearls. 2 large pearls finish it off. The Belle Epoque was known for its love of garlands. Women would wear wedding headdresses with rings at the end, where white ribbons would go. Mine is made of silver filigree. This barrette was made by Elkington and Company of Birmingham, England. They pioneered electroplating silver onto copper. The barrette features grapevines that transform into women's faces, one happy and one sad. This hairpin is probably Indian and was made at the end of the 19th century. The silver is wound into leaves as a heart rests in the middle of the tiara. Dotting the design are small round garnets. I feel this Alexandre Paris hairpin with its green flower and gold leaves was inspired by the way Lalique used glass and diamonds in jewelry. In 1997, the company made this pink and green barrette as a rare piece for its couture collection. The rhinestones on the pink flowers are set the same way Auguste Bonaz set them in some of his combs. This rose barrette from the Alexandre Paris 2002 couture collection is also a rare piece. In addition, the company always includes camellia hair ornaments because they were Coco Chanel's favorite flower. In Leominster, Massachusetts, American celluloid combs were mass-produced. They were no longer an imitation for other materials. This boldly blue and orange comb with brilliance of matching colors is a perfect example. Victorian jewelry is full of seed pearls and tortoiseshell. There are many hairpins in this shape made from these materials. This one just caught my eye. Legal restrictions do not allow me to mention this comb maker's name because of a divorce. However, one winter day, jovial Alexandre Paris took some things out of a back drawer and said in a hushed voice, "Look at these." I bought the only comb, Her face is jewelry-grade platinum. The Swarovski crystals on top are her hair, while underneath they form her collar. The comb itself is acetate and made in France. This black ivory bicolored celluloid comb was made in Oyonnax. It is unsigned, but Auguste Bonaz made combs in this shape. French and American comb factories made very different Art Deco combs in the 1920s. In Oyonnax, factory women had to work in front of turning machines to make celluloid combs. Auguste Bonaz had his combs made here. This example, with faux pearls, looks lovely when worn. In the 1920s, William Spratling went to Taxco and inspired Mexican artists to produce silver jewelry designed with a pre-Columbian aesthetic. This silver and amethyst hairpin comes from that history. Mercedes Rovirosa was hired by Karl Lagerfeld to design accessories for his haute couture collections at the House of Chanel. This comb is one of them. She surrounded a blue glass stone with hammered brass. This comb is from the Guro tribe of the Ivory Coast. It was made around 1975. In this culture, two birds facing each other illustrate the conventional image of marriage. This wooden comb from Turkmenistan is encased in engraved silver with cabochon carnelians and turquoise beads. In the Teke tribe, it is part of the kalim, or groom's dowry. The Chinese made intricately carved ivory combs for the Victorian market beginning around 1870. The combs had pointy tines and a bridge, above which Oriental motifs were portrayed. My comb is about a phoenix in a garden. He has a black eye, crowned head, and magnificent plumage. Notice how the leaves and flowers attach to the bird to make an integrated sculpture. This comb depicts Matsu, the Chinese goddess of the sea. Born in the Song dynasty, she wore red garments while standing on the shore to guide fishing boats home. Perhaps that is why her comb is made from cinnabar. The hand gesture on this Chinese hairpin indicates good luck. The silver pin itself was common fashion in 19th century China. I believe it belonged to an ordinary woman who wore it every day. Geologically, the modeled jadeite hand interested me. I have never seen shades of blue in jadeite quite like this. This hairpin was a gift to me from world-class collector Gina Hellweger. The charms on this gilt metal and enamel Guangsu comb make a statement. The axe respects the Chinese emperor's power to act decisively. The fruit is for happiness in marriage, the bat is for good fortune, and the coin hanger is for money. The hook at the top of my Manchu piece was made for a silver ornamental stick called a bianfang, for a hairstyle known as the Gaoyang Tao, worn by married women during the Qing dynasty. Tama kanzashi have a simple bead on the end of a metal stick. However, during the Meiji era, tama were also made of ivory. Instead of a bead, they sported a netsuke. The Creative Museum has one with a rabbit. Mine has a geisha. An ordinary Chinese woman would have worn this pin. It is made of gilt metal, jadeite, and enamel. The Hairpin Museum in Taiwan was built to house and repair such ornaments. I love it because it was a gift to me from my friend, Gina Hellweger. Hair ornaments express the complex and deeply historical symbology of Japanese weddings. This silver kanzashi from the Meiji era arranges minogame, pine trees, and cherry blossoms with beautiful symmetry. The tortoise minogame symbolizes longevity. In Japanese mythology he is so old, seaweed has grown on his back, and the dangling birabira tinkle like wind chimes as the bride moves. These Edo tortoiseshell combs were first painted with gold leaf. Then the artist removed parts to allow light. For example, the top comb reveals a butterfly shape with carved details. The wind's effect on nature was another popular theme in Japanese art. This ivory kushi and kogai set portray a cherry blossom tree as the wind blows through it in a very abstract representation. Another technique was to carve trenches into the tortoiseshell, allowing natural shapes to emerge. In this Meiji Kogai stick, leaves and flowers were painted in gold and black with just a touch of red. In the Meiji era, combs took on a smaller moon shape. Carvings were cut into the tortoiseshell, and the kogai stick came apart. My set features wedding drums. Here, the artist uses natural color variations in the tortoiseshell to portray how light would shine upon a pond as two mated plover birds converse. The balance of crane and tortoise is especially revered at Japanese weddings. The crane means freedom, the tortoise stability. This is the message of my Edo-era tortoiseshell Japanese wedding set. In the Edo era, the edges of kogai sticks had an open structure. They were foundations to which complex ornaments could be attached. Decoration of the kogai was just as complex as the decoration of the kushi. This is what was painted on the other side. A three-dimensional scroll of Mount Fuji surrounded by a cat resting in a garden. This Japanese comb uses a technique called makie. The floral design's edges are carved into the tortoiseshell. Gold paint is then applied with a dusting tool called a makizutsu, or a hair-tipped paintbrush called a keibo. This black lacquer Edo set is perhaps my favorite in the collection because it reminds me of Mary Howitt's poem, "Will you walk into my parlor?" said the spider to the fly. This metal kushi, which is decorated with red, green, yellow, and purple enamel, is part of a modern Japanese wedding set. A full wedding set would include 2 kogai sticks as well as 2 kanzashi. In the Showa period, painted objects on Japanese combs became bigger. In my red set, the left shows a painting of a bridge with water flowing underneath. On the right is a huge flower. Last but not least, I have a gilt metal tiara with beautiful white paste stones. It is French, of course, and was made around 1860, probably for a statue of the Virgin Mary.